In this webcast, I want to teach you about the concept of nucleophilic or covalent catalysis. This turns out to be an important mechanism for enzyme catalyzed mechanisms, but more about that later. Let's start with an example that is familiar to you, and that's a substitution reaction that goes by the SN2 process. It turns out we can catalyze this substitution reaction with iodide. What we're doing is we're doing a displacement of the chloride group. The chloride group is being displaced by a hydroxide nucleophile, and it becomes attached, and we make ethanol as the product. Now let's look at the uncatalyzed process, and then we'll see how iodide enters into this reaction mechanism. The uncatalyzed process, of course, is just the SN2 reaction mechanism. The SN2 reaction mechanism is a one-step process that involves a transition state structure in which bonds are being made and broken simultaneously. So there's no intermediate, just a one barrier pass over that barrier to get from the reactants to the products. How does iodide get involved? Well, the way that iodide gets involved is that it forms a new intermediate, and that intermediate is taking advantage of the fact that iodide is a better nucleophile than hydroxide, and once we generate that intermediate, iodide is going to serve as a leaving group, and iodide is a better leaving group than is chloride. So what are the steps? So we first have an SN2. That SN2 generates a new intermediate that has displaced the chloride to make an iodoethane molecule, shown here, and so we have a true intermediate I that's being generated in the process. Now we have a very good leaving group in the iodide group, and that's going to be displaced by the hydroxide in a second SN2 process, another transition state through which we proceed, and in doing so we return iodide, and so it's just a catalyst. It doesn't get involved in the stoichiometry. It gets involved in speeding up the reaction, but doesn't show up in the stoichiometry. And so if we look at our reaction coordinate diagram now, the old straightforward SN2 process is going to be displaced by a new pathway in the presence of iodide that involves that reactive intermediate Ri.